what you do, for the time that you give to our organization, and to help further our mission of care to the elderly. It is truly a gift that you give to us. What you do is so important, and it is important on so many levels. It's important in terms of the service you provide our organization. It's important in terms of the service you provide to our residents, and also as a sign to everybody who's here that the community has not forgotten the individuals who reside at Charles E. Smith Life Communities. So what you do is truly significant. We appreciate your support as well. As you all know, this is kind of a transition period for us with volunteers since Hetty Peiser's retirement. And Robin Lerner, standing in the back of the room, has very ably starting to fill in and learn about our volunteer program and about what we do. And so as we work on improving and expanding the role of volunteers, I know you'll be seeing Robin and her colleagues around the organization. And so we do appreciate you bearing with us during this interim time. I'd like to recognize as well our Kitty Davis Award recipients for today, Arnold Hammer and Howard Schnieberg. You'll be hearing a little bit about them a little later. And as I said to Arnie, this kind of doesn't bode well for us men, but he does take care of a minority population here with his Schmooze group, and we have much more women than men that we care for here, and so I know that his program is treasured by those who participate. Also like to welcome and recognize our luncheon speaker. We're very privileged today to have April Kaplan. April, join us. April is Executive Director of the Montgomery County Collaboration Council for Children, Youth, and Families, and when I introduce her later in the program, I'll tell you a little bit more about her. And I think, is Bill with us, Bill Lane? Yeah. He hasn't arrived yet. As a member of our Board of Directors is joining us today. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention that we all share today in mourning the loss of a longtime resident and volunteer, Miriam Dean, who passed away this week. Miriam was a resident of Charles E. Smith Life Communities, first at Revit's house and then here at the home. She had lived with us for over 40 years and has been a volunteer for 39 years. And so we will dearly miss her among us. And with that, I'd like to ask Abby, I guess, to come up and present the Kitty Davis Award.
Hello, my name is Abby Fagan, and I'm the Vice President of Development and Public Affairs. I'm quite humbled to be among you today. It's a tremendous thing to give your time in the many ways that you all do, from administrative tasks to helping residents get to and then enjoy the many programs that we have here, and most importantly, in providing companionship and friendship. Whatever your role has been in the past year, I hope that you know how much we all appreciate your contributions. I get the fun job today in presenting the Kitty Davis Award for Outstanding Volunteer Service. In the course of our 105-year history, my analysis of the math is that it's likely that we've had tens of thousands of volunteers who have given their time and from the heart. Since we began the Kitty Davis Award in 1971, we've presented this award only 40 times to those whose volunteer efforts have particularly stood out. It's my pleasure today to present the Kitty Davis Award for Outstanding Volunteer Service to Arnold Hammer and Harold Schnieberg. For more than a decade, Arnie and Harold have together brought a very special kind of friendship and companionship to the gentlemen of the Hebrew home. Their Schmooze group connects the very outnumbered fellas with each other with current events, with topics they uniquely enjoy, and gives them opportunity to relish their cherished memories and shared experiences. I particularly love that they name a bum of the month from current events and end their meetings with a review of this day in history, taking a page from their playbook. Today is April 17th, the day that the Ford Mustang debuted in the 1964 World Fair. The day that the Bay of Pigs invasion of Cuba began in 1961. The day on which Benjamin Franklin died in 1790. I hope you take a few moments to read a little bit more about Arnie and Harold in your programs, because forevermore, April 17th will also be known as the day that Arnie Hammer and Harold Schnieberg accepted the Kitty Davis Award from the grateful residents, staff, and fellow volunteers at Charles E. Smith Life Communities. Please join me in congratulating Arnie. Please. Come over here. Please, why don't we do some here? Okay. Okay, guys. You can get gorgeous. One more. Absolutely wonderful. Beautiful. Okay, great. Some remarks?
Go first. For those of you who don't know Arnie from Harold, I'm Harold. First, I just want to thank the home for being something for me to do for the last 8 years or more. I feel honored to receive this award. I know there's so many outstanding people who volunteer for the Hebrew Home, and I'm just one of them. And I know you could have selected a full group of people to receive this honor. This all started many years ago through the efforts of Arnie Hammer. I met Arnie on a trip to Spain, and interestingly enough, this trip was run by Rabbi Haberman and his wife Maxine, and we became good friends on that trip, Arnie Hammer and I. And when I came home, he called me and enlisted me to come to participate in the Schmooze group, which I did. And these last 8 years, whenever I wavered a little bit, he was there to mentor me and to encourage me to keep proceeding. And I greatly appreciate that. That was a great effort on his part. And he really believes in the concept of mitzvah. I do too, but not to the degree that Arnie does. It's been a terrific 8-year period. And what I've learned by being a volunteer here, I've learned to meet many fine gentlemen residents of the home. And I've learned if you treat them with kindness, compassion, affection, and respect, they will treat you in kind the same way. And for me, this has been the real learning lessons. When I first started here, it was a concept of giving back to the community. But this is much more than that, because I receive from these gentlemen every week expressions of gratitude, and it's very meaningful. I just want to close by thanking a couple people that work with us every Wednesday, that being Rabbi Arthur Rolnick, who is actually our equal in this. He adds a great dimension to our discussion. And also last year's recipient, Jared Pollack, he received the Kitty Davis Award last year. He's been very helpful, and I appreciate it. And I want to thank you all for being here. Thank you.
Very nice. Thank you.
I want to thank Harold for telling you who I am, because I forgot my name tag, and I might have forgotten my name. It seems to be one of the themes of the home. Thanks for the nice introduction. I appreciate it. and thank you for giving me a chance to talk to you about some of the pleasures of volunteering with the elderly. You know, the tradition is at this time of year between Pesach and Shavuot, between Passover and Shavuos, is to study Pirkei Avot, the sayings of the fathers. And I decided to look to see what Pirkei Avot has to say about the elderly, because that's a good way to start any study of this kind of thing. And sure enough, I found a very nice passage, which is a Mishnah from Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda, who said, "One who learns from the young, to what is he compared? To one who eats unripe grapes and drinks wine from the press. And one who learns from the old, what is he compared to? To one who eats ripened grapes and drinks aged wine." One who eats ripened grapes and drinks aged wine. One of the basic teachings of Pirkei Avot is the necessity of respecting others, including especially people of age and experience. A society that shows little respect for its elders eventually brutalizes itself. But there's a second benefit to respecting the elderly. The Torah teaches that aging itself is an educating process. Leviticus 19:32 states, "You shall rise before the aged and give honor to the old." Jewish custom requires rising in the presence of a person 70 years or older. I've suggested that to my sons, who are both here. Somehow they don't think it's such a great idea, but what can you do? Anyway, the reason given for this custom is that even an ordinary elderly person has acquired wisdom through the many trials he's endured through the years of his life. On public buses in Israel, the first row of seats is marked with a sign quoting this biblical passage about rising before the elderly. That's because every old person is regarded as having a special wisdom that comes with life experience. And lastly, respecting an elderly Jew is required because, whether learned or not, that person carries with him or her something else Judaism views as crucial: tradition. The elderly person forms a link between the world today and previous generations. Judaism sees such people as invaluable and irreplaceable bearers of our Jewish heritage. It certainly is very nice to be recognized today, but really the experience of volunteering here is its own reward. And the friendships I've made and the feeling of doing something that brightens the days of residence are two of the great rewards of volunteering here. The reward of friendship, what can I say? Harold has become such a great friend, a confidant, somebody I look forward to spending a day with every week. I'm forever grateful for this opportunity to get to be very close with Harold and Wilma too, and I thank you both for your friendship. I also have to recognize Arthur Rolnick, who has already been mentioned. He joined our team recently, and we've become friends, and he's become a great inspiration to the people who come to our group, and I thank Arthur. And Jared, where are you, Jared? Jared, who won this award last year, who is a faithful helper every week. He's always there. He's always ready to be of assistance, and we appreciate you so much, Jared. And finally, I have to thank Jim Michaels. I met Rabbi Michaels probably the first day that I volunteered here. We clicked immediately. We become great and good friends. And not only are we friends, but he is an inspiration because of the way he deals with the many elderly and their families in this wonderful place. So Jim couldn't be here, but I want him to know, and I'll give him a copy of these remarks, how much he means to me. But the dozens of residents, maybe the scores of residents I met, are the most important friends that I've made here. I've come to admire and enjoy knowing these people. I've learned from them, I've become enriched by them, and just one little vignette. We were talking at one session about what are the benefits of getting old, if you can think of any. And one of the men who was 100 years old, who had gone blind, who had had many difficulties in life, said, "Every year gets better." So I said, "Why in the world is that?" He said, "Because every year nice things happen to me that hadn't happened before." Now, that is so inspirational. I just have to share that with you. In addition to the friendships made, the other great benefit is brightening the day of residents. What could be better than being told by a resident that the Schmooze group was the best part of his week, or maybe the hour that he spent was the best part of his day? Or even the guy who frankly says that he comes because of the soft drinks and potato chips that we bring every day. Whatever it takes. The whole goal is to bring these people into the world outside the walls of the home, to help them connect with something that's happening as well as with each other. And it usually works. It's an hour when we talk about the things that guys enjoy talking about, whether it's sports, or current events, or women, or a bawdy joke, or the day in history that was already mentioned. And you know what? It's great for me too. When I walk into the home, I put away whatever concerns I may have, put a smile on my face, and determined to make the day as good as I can for whoever I come into contact with. Two of my children who are here, John and Ben, there's Ben, as well as my dear Mary, have come to the group several times, as well as some other distinguished guests, including football great Dexter Manley, and the home's good friend and the Jewish people's good friend, the former ambassador from Norway, who has visited many times. They've shared in the fun and rewards of interacting with these interesting residents. In summary, there's great power in being in the presence of old people. Great power in being in the presence of old people. As my dear wife, Mary, reminded me, what I call the wisdom of the mothers, she said, what you're doing is a double plus because you're elderly and you're learning from the elderly. Thank you for this honor and for the chance of sharing with you some of the pleasures of volunteering
Please join me in welcoming Sabrina Sojourner for our invocation and Motzi.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
It is such a pleasure to be here. I know that Rabbi Michaels really wanted to be here. However, I could not think of a better opportunity for me to stand in for him than to be here at this luncheon. I have had the pleasure of working with many of the volunteers who are at this building and at Smith Kogod. I see many of my friends from Ring House and from Revit's House who are also volunteers here, and of course many new faces. What always is amazing to me is that I have people from my home community, my home spiritual community, Addis Israel here, and Arnie and Mary are both members of Addis Israel. And so I really appreciate all of that you do. I appreciate how, when I am working here as a religious assistant, your assistance that you give me, and most importantly, I appreciate the fact that we're all participating in making this campus a wonderful and loving and Hamish place to be. So if someone on the table will put their hand on the challah, and someone who, and everyone else can put their hand on the person who's touching the challah.
Oh, then we can okay, I see. How about that? That's what we
I don't have a.
You get that challah, Janet. It looks great. It looks good.
Here's my challah.
Wait, yeah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Motzi lechem min haaretz potei abon.
I've never heard that. I have to put. Absolutely. Here. Yeah. I have to ask her. She's terrific.
Thank you, relax, and enjoy the luncheon, and we'll be back with a few more remarks.
Here's
Does anybody want some water?
Yeah, let's let me.
Are you want water?
I'll take tea, I'll take tea.
I would know what to do with that. I know. So that's a.
Janet, you want water or iced tea?
I'll take iced tea.
Yeah, we'll
Okay,
take tea.
let me get you iced tea.
Get it.
I always tell you this, I have a first cousin named Janet Aronson. My maiden name was Aronson. Yes. One of my first cousins.